Hello, Zach.
What's going on? How you doing?
Fine, fine. Thank you for the time. Maybe it's a little bit.
Yeah, let me go ahead and put the seat back.
Yes.
You know? Yeah, give it a little second.
Yeah. How are you doing?
Good. I'm good. I'm good.
Little chill day.
Yeah, good chill day after a good win. You know.
Yeah, I could imagine it. So thank you for the time. And I always start the first question is always the same. How and when did you learn about basketball?
Learned basketball at a very young age. If you could ever see pictures of me, 3 years old, had a basketball in my hand. My dad really wasn't a basketball player. He was more of American football. But my mother, she was a basketball player, and crazy enough, she kind of taught me how to shoot. You know, learning, you grow, you start to understand the game more the more you play. I've always been pretty big compared to the other children, you know, at a young age. So, you know, use my height as an advantage, you know, made me kind of better than everybody else with the understanding that I already had. You know, it kind of caught up with me, you know, but still to this day, you know, I can't fathom not playing, especially now, you know.
And basketball was the first sport. Did you try it? Or I heard you played American football also at the young age, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was the first?
Super young age. All right, so I played basketball. You know, I played football, like European football, soccer.
Yeah.
1 year. Didn't like it. I just didn't have the feel for it. Didn't understand it that much. You know, the only thing I knew about was slide tackling. So I was just running into the pile. You know, when little kids play, they don't have no position. They just run around the ball and try and kick it. But, you know, I was that guy running recklessly and slide tackle. But learned a little bit about that. Stopped playing that. Around 11, 12, played American football. I was with a real roughneck squad, like, you know, just kids who have played for a while, really learning about that game. I just told my parents that I wanted to play and put me in it. All my friends are playing it, you know.
And which position played for?
Started out tight end, then I played safety, then I played linebacker, and then I played quarterback. And I played all the way up until high school where they had me at wide receiver, but I don't know, I didn't like it anymore. I felt like my body wasn't caught up enough. I was a real scrawny kid, didn't have the acceleration or the, you know, the finesse, you know, to really outplay these kids who, you know, who just had the feel for it like I had the feel for basketball. So it was kind of a sad moment too. I'm out in the field with my dad, and he's trying to make me run routes, and you know I could see the pain in his eyes because you know he always wanted me to play two sports, but I told him I couldn't do it anymore. It was I just had to pick one thing, focus on one thing, and you know he's one of my biggest supporters. So I appreciate him letting me, you know, choose something that I really was passionate about. You know.
Yeah, I could imagine, because it's very, very important. The parents help for his children, for the children's. And I always want to question it, because in America, the main sport, I think, is American football, right? The first sport in the
you could say that.
And why is so important? Why is so the number one sport is American football, and number one major league is National Football League. Why happened this?
I feel like it's been around for so long. Just like baseball, they call it America's pastime. You know, these dudes have salary caps there is no salary cap in baseball as far as I know.
Yes.
Football, it's I wouldn't say one of the easiest sports to play, but it is a sport that anybody can play. You know, if you find a position, if you work hard at that position, You don't necessarily need finesse to play football. You just, some cases you have to be really strong. The higher the level gets, you know, the more tactical it gets. But at a young age, is just everybody is playing it, and it's so fun to watch, especially once it comes to playoffs. Well, there's only so many games in a season.
Yes.
You know, so every game is very, very important. You know, like I said, the pastime with baseball, they have a such thing as tailgating.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have a bunch of people getting drunk and getting excited about a sport that, you know, I couldn't really tell you why. I mean, I still love football. I still love to watch it. Like, once you understand the game, you see the physicality of it, and you see really, really good players playing it, you know, it's very entertaining to watch. And, you know, just how football is out here, when you have people who grew up on it and have a certain passion for it, and, you know, you have so many people playing it, it's easy for people to just pick it up and, you know, have a certain love for it, you know.
And do you have favorite team in American football?
Yeah, Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, you hear that a lot, but, you know, got chosen that by default. My dad was a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was just like, you know, let me just pick that team along with them, you know. And, you know, it was just, from then on, just kind of made that my team,
mm-hmm.
you know.
And when do you pick the basketball as a first sport? Yeah, right now
Mm-hmm.
I've just focused on basketball. At the age of 14 or 50 years old, right? In high school, or a little bit?
It was like 16.
16.
Mm-hmm.
When you pick that, do you know, yes, I wanted to do it because I want to be a professional basketball player? It was that straight for you, or just, okay, I want to play basketball because it is fun for me, I'm good at it, and okay, we will see that? Mm. Or at 60 years old, Zach Brown, no, yeah, I want to do it because I want to be a professional basketball player?
You know, a lot of people, they gravitate to things that they're good at. Mm-hmm. You know, I always thought I was good at basketball. That became a love, became a passion for seeing something that I had a lot of pride in, you know. And at some point, there was no plan B. You know, I had no plan B other than to be a professional basketball player. You have to have that mindset. I feel at a young age, you see actors and musicians, they start so young and keep along with it and know that that's the thing that they want in life more than anything else. And that's the same way I felt about basketball. You know, it's a very saturated game like all other sports. There's only so many players that can play it, really finite. I'm blessed to have the height, skill, body that I have to be able to play this game at a high level. You know, it was always just something that I wanted to do. I just couldn't see myself doing anything else. Mm-hmm. Especially, like I said, now where I'm still young, I'm still in my 20s. I still have time to really understand my life and, you know, what I should do for my future. And, you know, I've always just saw basketball in it, you know. There was just nothing else. Like, I have hobbies, you know. I have small hobbies, but they're nothing compared to what I do now. You know, this is like the ultimate for me. Like, I could die tomorrow and say I'm happy doing what I do.
Basketball is the number one thing for you, right?
Absolutely. Right now it is, you know. Like, once I'm done with basketball, I feel like I'll completely walk away from it. Like, I won't want any parts left in it, you know.
Yeah, I could imagine. And you pick and you have a really good opportunity because you played in a very good university in Wichita State. First of all, I know it's a very good thing in basketball, but for men in Hungary and for our fans, it's a really big story because Wichita State University is big, right? It's more than, maybe bigger than all Szombathely. So my first question about your university life is, how was the college life in Wichita State? How could we imagine from Hungary?
Well, it's kind of what you see in the movies from a guy like from my standpoint. Me being a basketball player in a basketball state at a basketball school with nothing else being the major proprietor of access to people's entertainment, you know, so everybody knew me in a way. Like you walk out on the street just like it is kind of here. Oh, Zach Brown, Wichita State, Zach Brown, Falco basketball, you know, but a little bit on a higher scale, you know, just like almost any college. There's rarely a college that you go to where the kids aren't trying to live their college life, partying, having fun. You being with a bunch of young adults who don't know anything except, you know, know but that life and what they grew up on watching what college is supposed to be. And, you know, you have the parties and everything. Like, it was fun. I could definitely say I lived that college life in a way, you know, in a sense. You know, we had our basketball. Basketball is very demanding, like ridiculously demanding. Like, it's, you know, we think that, you know, sometimes here it's hard, but, you know, it's 365 for 4 years straight almost of straight basketball, making sure that everything is right. Like, I mean, I feel like there isn't a huge drop off, like being over here, and, you know, in the summer you still have to take care of your body and do the things that you need to do to make sure that you're good over here, make sure you're at least a little bit in shape. You know, you don't want to come here and stinking up the court, you know.
Of course, yeah.
But in a way, it was really demanding, but I loved it.
And on the university, next to basketball, you must study something, right? Which was your study? What your study at university?
I studied psychology. I know it was like it's kind of like a, you know, it's hard to come from having a bachelor's in psychology and trying to do anything else with that. You know, if I was just to get a psychology degree and not play basketball, but I wouldn't say necessarily problems, but, you know, there are things that I wanted to understand about the brain, you know, dealing with the anxiety, dealing with a sense of depression at some moments, understanding that, you know, these are just functions of the human body. And once you break it down from a mental standpoint, sometimes it makes things a lot easier. You know, like we all have things that we go through, and the brain is our main organ, our main proprietor of us breathing unconsciously and having blood move through our system, and you know, us feeling pain. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, just in the sense that I wanted to understand that, like, everything isn't the way it is externally, and, you know, if you use your brain for the right things, believe in certain things internally, like our brain has a power that we still haven't, you know, come to understand as humans. So I just want to know as much of that as I can.
Yeah, that's professional athlete is very important. You know, you know yourself. It's very important. This psychological thing right now, the mental health or the mental illness, it's very, very important for you guys, because as you said, all year, all day you must training or must think about basketball, and if you don't have knowledge about this mental ill or mental health, it could be a very big problem for the professional athlete. Like Kevin Love said in an interview, and a lot of professional athletes said it's not that easy as the fans imagine. I want to ask, because in Hungary we are very proud our fans, because we have a very big fans club with more than 3,000 people, more than this type of man. How many spectators have you in Wichita State basketball game? Because I saw some of highlight videos from your college years, and it was, wow, it was a real parade. It was gorgeous.
Oh man, There was nothing like it. We had something called the Roundhouse in Charles Cocarina, and it seated 10,500 plus. You know, so probably 10,560, maybe almost 11,000, and you know, it was filled to the brim of people from that whole city just loving Wichita State basketball. It was the main event of every Saturday. You know, every Thursday or so. Like it's kind of died down a little bit, which I'm kind of sad about. You know, if you're gonna be a supporter of a team, a club, a university, you should always be that way, no matter what happens there. But man, it was, especially my freshman all the way up to my senior year, it was just an amazing experience to be in there. Like I couldn't believe it, seeing the intro video and the lights going back and forth. You know, back then, well, still now to this day, people, they'll turn off the lights when they're introducing guys, and you know, they'll have the lights flashing back and forth from their phones. It's almost like a concert, man. And you know, yeah, just to be a part of that, it's, you know, it's so gratifying. It's so gratifying. You know, a lot of people don't get to experience things like that, and you know, I'm just truly blessed. I'm really blessed to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, this is amazing. I watch it, and it's a show.
It's
a show.
Really a show.
Then next to the main event, it's always the basketball game, all right. But in America, in the university or the NBA or NFL, it's next another show for that. And after the university years, you started your professional career in France, right? Was it a big gap between the university years and the professional years in France, or was the adaptation easy for you?
I was kind of mentally preparing myself for it. Wasn't a huge problem for me because I ended up gaining a lot of friends, you know, meeting people that I never thought I'd meet, experiencing things I didn't get to experience in another country. You know, it was my first time being overseas, so there was a lot for me to expect the unexpected, you know. But it was actually a great experience. It was probably one of the best things for me because I almost didn't play. You know, I came out of college, didn't have the stats that I wanted. I was able to find a decent agent in Neil Rosenheim. He took the opportunity, helped me get in a few spots, found the spot for me, third division France, NM1 basketball. You know, coming from third division France, now to playing Germany, Champions League, Euro Cup, like that's something that a lot of people can't say they did. And you know, like I said, with everything, I'm very grateful. But you know, I had a great coach, great guy, Philip Macaron, just a guy who kind of dealt with my shenanigans. I kind of came in. I was doing things that I wouldn't do to this day, you know, dealing with my frustration and everything. And, you know, a lot of times he sat me down, talked to me, and kept my confidence high. And in turn, I had an amazing year that year, showed myself. I was able to get to the next level in that and, you know, go from there. But I still try and talk to him to this day. I may text him after this and tell him I had an interview, mention your name just because you're such a good dude and, you know, love his family, love his children, you know. And
this is important,
yeah,
I think.
Having that relationship with a coach, man, that's
maybe the most important thing the most important thing in the professional athlete life. And as you mentioned, you played in France, you played in Cyprus, you played in Hungary, and you played also in Germany, Hamburg. Which city or which country was the closest for you, you know, as a culture-wise, as a city-wise?
I say France, and then Germany. Germany was a little, I couldn't say that it wasn't a good experience for me. Germany was great. It was the next closest thing to America as I've seen since I've been here. You know, the way that people moved around, how free everybody looked and felt when I talked to them. A decent amount of people spoke English. You know, it was a great experience for me. Like, I saw a lot, I was able to do a lot in Hamburg, but it was just something about France, man. Just being so welcome, being so welcome in that country, and you know, sitting down and having dinners with people who I never thought I'd have dinners with, and you know, feeling like I had a real family there. You know, it was just an all-around humbling experience for one, and you know, just a blessing. You know, I love going where the people are caring, you know, caring and nice, you know, because I want to show the same level of reciprocation that I have for somebody else. You know, like if I'm good to you, you know, I want you to be good to me. That's not the way the world works, but I had that in France, you know. So, yes. And it wasn't a big city either. Lorient was not a big city by far, but it was beautiful. Yeah. You know, it was just about as big as Szombathely is.
But Hamburg is a big city, right?
Yeah, Hamburg is a huge
city. Hamburg, yes. It's maybe, for me, maybe it's huge. And before Hamburg, you were in Szeged, right? After Hamburg, you pick Szombathely, maybe not the smallest cities in Hungary, but way smaller than Hamburg. Which city is closer for you? This countryside city as Szombathely, or a big, maybe could we say metropolitan as Hamburg? Which is closer for you?
I'd say it's two sides of the same coin. It's easier to live in Szombathely, you know, way easier to live in Szombathely. Just the experience, the people, you know, like you're more in the finite area with people that you know from a day to day. Like I go to the same coffee shop almost every single day, you know, see the same people. They already know my order almost when I get in there, you know. 10 minutes down the road, it's anything that I need from the grocery store. See my teammates just about every day. I go into the city center, and I bet you if I went right now, I'd probably see at least one or two of them relaxing, you know, having their break, having their off day in a way. But Hamburg, it was just so much to do. It was a good experience because it was something that I didn't experience out here. You know, even though there was a ridiculous amount of traffic, you know, it was very heavy, you know, on the trains. You always saw people around you. You never felt enclosed in your own space. It was just good in terms that there was always a place to go eat, you know, always a place to go eat. If you wanted to have fun, there was nightlife there, museums, little small places where you could go on the side of the road or like somewhere in the city with, you know, something that you haven't seen before. I was always walking through the city, finding something new, you know.
This is nice also, but sometimes it's maybe harder. Yeah, as you said, it's easier living in Szombathely than Hamburg. When you become free agent, is it not the most specific question? Which things is important when you pick a new team? The championship pedigree, or the history of the club, or the head coach, or maybe the domestic leagues power, you know, the difference between Hungary and Hamburg, or the German first division. How and why do you pick a team? Which is important for you?
Well, number one is the coach. I always pick a coach, or I want to pick a coach, especially now at the age that I'm at, to where we have a certain understanding, you know, where we can work with each other. There's no bad blood. I know what kind of person you are. I've heard from other people what kind of person you are. You know, I wouldn't say that any coach that is easy to work with will be the best coach for you, you know, because in terms like sometimes that could be detrimental to your year. Like, he probably may not push you as hard as you want to be pushed and may slack off, but you got to find the right balance. Secondly, I look at the team, look at who we're picking up at that moment in time, see where I could fit into that group. You know, a lot of guys, have reps from certain other teams or from certain people, it may be harder to play with than others. So you got to pick and choose who, you really want to spend your year with. This is 10 months of, grueling focus.
Yeah.
So, who do you want to really spend your dinners with, and who do you want on the court with you? That's the second thing. What were you about to say?
Yeah, and what is your first impression about Indizwise or club or Falco? It is a good team, good guys.
Great group of guys,
yeah.
Great coaches. We seem to have found a balance. We won a game that people didn't expect us to win. We're consistently learning about each other, so that's a really good thing.
I have a first impression about you when we talk about, hey, we should go for the parade as a team, Szavarja Carnival, and when you arrived and see the horses, the guys with different clothes, you put up the phone and wow, this is amazing. Maybe the Hungary Comic Con. Was it a good thing for you and amazing thing, because we talk during the parade also how many people in there and just say hajrá Falco, and it's amazing. How do you think about it right now?
One thing about this city is that the fans are ridiculously supportive. You don't get that in a lot of cities. Like, if I was to mention Hamburg or Cyprus, we rarely had any fans come to the games. And this was pre-COVID. This was way before COVID. In Hamburg, we always had a good amount of fans, but the energy, is very different in other cities than it is in, a place like Hamburg or Bonn. Hamburg, they were a little more reserved. You didn't see people rah, 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 like going crazy, but, they clap and cheer. They heard somebody that they know, there's somebody that they appreciated, or it was a good play, or, things of that nature. But here it's right from the jump. You have the people who are supportive of Falco basketball as a whole, and you don't get that everywhere. You know what I mean? Just to see the city and to have these people already welcome us. Yesterday, Ray hit 2 threes in a row, and they're already chanting, "Ray, man, Cowles." This is an away game, by the way, and they're taking up at least a fifth of, the season in an away game, which is that something you don't get to see. We have fans in Strasbourg in France, so.
Also last year, BCL mentioned our fans. That's how big the Falco fan nation, and this is a very good thing. When you pick Falco as your next team, was the BCL is a important thing for you to pick as team, because it's a very good opportunity to play in the as a high level against like Strasbourg, against like Tofasburg, the top teams, or UCAM Murcia, it's a top team from Spain. Was it an important thing for you?
Yeah, I didn't really know who would be playing against when I first signed. Seeing our pool, we had one of the toughest pools. I think top 3, top 4 toughest pools with our teams. But any guy who wants to play at a high level out here, they want to play domestic league and European. I definitely saw that as an opportunity to continuously show myself. I played Euro Cup last year. Euro Cup was a great experience. Playing 2 games a week, it's so much fun. Like you want to play basketball. You want to play as many games as you can. You want to feel as comfortable as you can on that court. Some people don't get that opportunity playing one game a week. You know, once you have that bad game or so, you know, you're waiting a whole 5-6 days until the next game, and you know, you have to put everything aside once you play 2 games a week. Well, 2 games a week, you know, you have that one bad game on Wednesday. All right, we gotta lock in for this next one on Saturday, you know. And, you know, I feel like it was just a great opportunity and all. You know, I appreciate Milos calling me and talking to me. Him seeing me before I even got here, when I was at Sega, and he was the assistant coach, you know.
Yes.
I think BCL is really tough this year as well, so, you know, anybody will see it as a good opportunity.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, we have 2 games per week schedule, I think, the whole season. What could you do to prepare yourself as mental and physical for this type of schedule? Is it hard, and do you have any habits? Do you have any routine, game day routine, or practice day routine?
Number one thing I do is I meditate. Number one thing I tell anybody in general is to relax. You know, these games, at the end of the day, are games. You know, they're definitely a job, but this is a job that you love to do. You see the goodness in everything. Take the good with the bad. Know that once the ball stops bouncing, if you feel like you gave it your all, then there's nothing that you can feel bad about. And I try to embrace that every single time I go out on that court. I've learned a lot, especially from last year with stressing so much. You know, I ended up stressing myself out so much that I ended up injuring myself from not feeling that I was pushing hard enough. In reality, I was doing too much and wearing myself down to the point to where I almost couldn't perform on the court because, you know, I'm thinking that what I'm doing, like, isn't good enough, you know, isn't enough. And, you know, I've learned to balance everything. You know, you have to work hard, but you have to listen to your body. Mentally, you can't stress yourself out. You know, if a ball goes in, the ball goes in. You know, if it doesn't, if it doesn't. If you turn the ball over 5 times, if you miss 10 shots, it is what it is. You have to come back the next day and perform. You're a performer.
Or the next play also.
Or the next play. You can't let that get you down.
Yes.
You know, and that's something that a lot of people struggle with, and that's a mental hump that a lot of basketball players can block themselves from. Like, you can block yourselves from really good opportunities because you're stuck in the past. You know, if you hear monks or anybody who practices stoicism or anything of that nature, they're always saying, you know, it is what it is. You can't change what has already been had. You know, the only thing you can do is move on from it. The number one thing you can do from anything is to react, you know.
Yeah, this is a very important thing, I think. Could you tell us or tell me about your meditation routines? Because in Hungary it's not a top topic, because it's, hey, just you're listening some music, okay, some inhales and something like that. And what is your meditation routine, and how help you became a better person and a better basketball player?
So the first thing I do is start with affirmations. You know, one thing I've learned is you have to basically almost be egotistical in a way to telling yourself, you're like, yeah, I'm that good. You know, you have to tell yourself, like, yeah, I can do this. You know, I'm one of the greatest so-and-so. You know, if you want to be good at something, you can't have that unless you actually believe it. You know, a certain level of confidence, a certain level of sickness that, you know, a lot of great players have in their head, to where they feel like nobody can stop them. They're like, they're untouchable. And, you know, if you want to be great, you have to feel great, you know? So that's the first thing I start with is affirmations, telling myself I can, I'm good enough. take about 5 minutes of breathing, 5 minutes of breathing, 5 breaths in, hold that, 5 breaths out, hold that again, and then do that about 10 times. That usually takes, 5 minutes, and then visualization for the last 5. And that's pretty much it, There's no real secret to it, just like anything, it takes consistency, takes a wherewithal to actually do it. If you don't believe that it works in the first week or so, and you stop doing it, like, what is that going to do for you? Like, if you don't believe it in general and you do it for a year, like, it still won't work. Just a sense of letting yourself go and understanding that you're in the moment.
And this is for his everyday routine or for a game day routine?
Just about every day.
Every day, yeah, because as you said, you must do this constantly, and that is helpful for you. You mentioned in I think the first minute or the second minute of this interview, you have small hobbies next to basketball. Please tell about us. What is your hobbies? What help you switch off your mind?
I like going on walks, Going on walks is probably my main thing. If I feel like I'm too confined in a space, I just need time to think, go for a walk, understand that the world is still here. whether
I could imagine, because it's helpful. You see the birds, you see the dogs, other man's walking also, and you have time for you just think about the things. This is a good. And how many times per day or per week, or just have a click? Okay, Zach, I must to take a walk and walk, or do you have, maybe it's hard to tell, but do you have a plan for it in your game?
Not really. It's just, whenever I feel like I need to do it. If I feel like I need to get out of the same routine that I normally do. I play video games, but at the end of the day, that could get really frustrating as well.
Yes.
So at some point I need to walk away from that as well, just do something different.
What kind of games play?
Man, I'll play Apex. That's been the main thing. Apex, Call of Duty. But like I said, those games could get really, really frustrating. So I'd have to turn it down and play like an RPG or something on my computer. Just something with less action, don't have to use 95% of my brain to, try and be successful in that game, But I like to do a little bit of reading. I need to do a lot more reading than I have been lately, but
on the plane you could.
Yeah, on the plane I could read, but usually I'm going to sleep as soon as I touch the seat. But I like to do a little bit of reading. I want to learn a new skill. I feel like that there's so much that we can do besides the same couple things that we do on a day-to-day basis. I want to be able to create. I've never been like a good drawer or anything like that, but I want to figure out something.
Yeah, you will figure out something. And for the finishing in this interview, we will walk a little sponsorship step. I have one or two small question for you, little funny, but we will speak about it when we go out. So, little time out.
Yeah, a little time out, man. I think that's what we need.
So, Zach, are you a sweet or a salty guy for breakfast?
I'm a salty guy.
Salty?
Yeah, I'm a salty guy. I need my eggs, need my bacon. I should stop eating bacon as much, but not really too much of a sweet guy. I lost it. I lost it when I was, growing up around 19, 20 years old. Stopped buying candy by the, you know,
Should
it
go
just,
this way.
yeah, it just didn't become my thing anymore. I just couldn't do it.
And as a player, I know we talk about you want to be always go bigger and better, but it is always a good question for an interviewer as me. MVP or championship?
Championship.
Champions.
By
By far, and why?
Yeah. You could be the MVP of a team and go 15-15. You know, you could win a championship, be 30-0, and have everybody look good.
Yeah,
You know,
this is better. Yeah, I could imagine. What kind of teammates are you on the court and on the locker room? This way, because I know this is new for you.
yeah. I'm probably one of the biggest supporters. You know, the last thing I'd ever be is selfish. Selfish for my team. Selfish towards a coach. You know, everybody goes through something, and you never know what someone could be going through in that day. You know, basketball is mental as much as it is physical. Some people, they may not be able to come to an understanding the way you can. You know, if you take a step back, see things for what they are, you know. A lot of people, you can just tell it in their face if they're having a rough time.
Yeah.
So, you know, the number one thing I want to do, or number one thing I try to do is tell people, you know, you're doing well for yourself, you know. Everything isn't what it seems, you know. You're still a great person. You're still a great basketball player, you know. Love what you do, you know. I always try to instill confidence in anybody, you know, because at the end of the day, like, I was probably in the same position as they were at that moment in time, you know. So,
I think this is a very good finishing story, and thank you, Zach, for the time.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you.
Ciao.
Így áll te is vizet.